So Paulie, we're here in London for the final press conference for Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin. How do you break down the fight? Where do you see this being won and lost?
I think, Golovkin being the more natural middleweight, I think he's just going to do the things that he usually does. I don't think he's going to change much. It's more of a, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of attitude for Golovkin. He's going to come in bringing pressure. I think he's going to be cutting the ring off every second of every round. I think that's really what makes Golovkin effective. People talk about his balance and his power, of course, but the fact that he's able to cut the ring off so well and keep the pressure on you while not overcompensating and reaching or anything, it doesn't allow you for an escape. A lot of times you get pressured and you get maybe a guy will overpressure you, like Sean Porter did with Kell, for example, and then he would rush in and Kell would be able to clinch with him and turn around or make a move and slip back to the middle of the ring. Or if you get wild like a Marcos Maidana, you miss so wide that maybe you can escape the back door and get back to the middle of the ring and give yourself that breather. It's one thing I noticed Golovkin doesn't give his opponents. He's cutting you off and he's staying there, and his positioning is so well that for 3 minutes he doesn't allow you off the hook. So even if he's punching or not punching, he's putting you under that mental duress. And so it's important for Kell to be focused for all 3 of those minutes. Use that movement, but at the same time not go into what I call flight, where you're just flying around, because then if you're flying around you can't punch. You have to stop the punch. So it's got to be fluid enough to where you can punch right off that movement, but at the same time not predictable to where Golovkin can track you down, because he will be positioning himself in front of you all the time. He will be cutting you off all the time. So it's important to stay calm through all that. It's easier said than done, obviously, but I do think Kell has one little factor in his favor. Golovkin does all this without moving his head. Golovkin does not move his head as he comes in. He's a terrific offensive fighter. Even defensively, he's not bad, but he doesn't move his head as he pressures you. He comes in pretty stiff. And I think a guy with the sharpshooting skills of Kell Brook can pick him off. Now, does that mean he's going to hurt him? I don't know. I don't know how much power Kell's going to bring to the middleweight division, but I tell you what, if he's able to pick him off with enough consistency, he will disrupt Golovkin's sense of distance and timing. He'll force him maybe to take that extra step back when he doesn't want to, and therefore Kell won't be in range to be hit with the punches that maybe Golovkin wants to throw whenever he wants to, because when he's comfortably walking you down, he can hit you and pick you off whenever he wants. If Kell disrupts that, now Golovkin has to think a little more. And one thing we haven't seen, we have never seen Golovkin frustrated. We've never seen Golovkin hurt, but what about the frustration? We always talk about how good his chin is. Okay, maybe his chin is good, but what about frustration? What about when things don't go your way? What if you have a pesky guy? And I noticed Kell in a public workout, he turns lefty, he turns righty. One thing I haven't seen Kell do in a fight is turn lefty. I think that if this is the time to bring out all his bag of tricks and put them all on the table, it's Saturday night. And what happens if that bag of tricks is just tricky enough to where you see some frustration from Golovkin? What does Golovkin do? Because you say how fundamentally sound Golovkin is and how brilliant Golovkin is, but it's easier to do when you're not frustrated. When frustration sets in, the brilliance sometimes gets covered up by the frustration. You end up making moves you don't want to make. It's the same thing Golovkin does to his opponents. When he's walking you down, he's putting you under such mental duress that the pressure makes you panic. And what happens when you panic? You make errors. So it's the same thing. What happens when Golovkin's opponent is good enough to make him make the errors? Those are the things I'm going to be looking for each guy to pull off in the fight on Saturday night.
Obviously, we've not seen Kell at this weight before.
No.
I don't know if you've seen the photos. It looks like he's carrying it better than people expect.
Yeah, he is carrying it well. I mean, I expect him to carry it well. I always felt he was a big welterweight. I also know that no matter how much you boil down to make weight, just because you're another weight or two above doesn't mean you're going to be fat. You're going to carry it with a bit more comfort. You're going to be in shape. I think of Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz in the MMA. Conor McGregor, was much more comfortable at the higher weight, but he was still fighting a bigger guy. So you still have those risks. No matter how much more comfortable you are, you have to understand you're fighting a guy who's used to being hit from guys that size, and he's used to hitting guys that size. So now he still will have the advantage of the size, no matter how comfortable you are. It's important for Kell to, despite the comfort at middleweight, to make sure it translates to fluidity, it translates to a smooth style, it translates to energy for him. I don't know that it'll translate to any more power than Golovkin may have felt in the past. I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday night. Kell still is a welterweight coming up, but if he's able to stay sharp for 12 rounds because he's got more energy from not struggling to make weight, again, like I said before, maybe there's moments where you create frustration in Golovkin. And what does frustration create? Frustration creates errors. And what do errors create? Errors create more punches being landed on you. So you got to build to it, just like Golovkin will build on that pressure that he's bringing to Kell. it's an interesting set of factors that you start to think about. And for me, especially, I start to overthink things, you know, and I start to think, oh, what if this happens and this happens? What if that happens and this happens? You know, a lot of things could happen, but I try to keep in mind each guy's strengths, each guy's weaknesses, and then try to put them together and how the fight will evolve. You know,
It's a fight you're looking forward to.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure everyone else is too. As we can see the room now filling up for the press conference. Thanks.